In an I-Team investigation tonight, a Kansas City massage therapist faces sexual assault charges involving former customers. Now, we do want to warn you, this report does cover graphic details. Ji Jiang is accused of sexual assault of 2 women. And just late last week, I learned officers are now investigating a case involving a 3rd woman. They're asking any other possible victims to contact police, and that's why we're showing you this man's mugshot. Meanwhile, the massage spa where he worked is still open. Again, we want to warn you, what you're about to hear could be triggering for some and does contain mature graphic content. But the women I talked to felt strongly that we don't sanitize their allegations. Natasha Culp was no stranger to massages when she walked into Fusion Spa in Kansas City in August 2023. On that occasion, she actually booked a last-minute couples massage with her boyfriend Kyle. They were on separate tables in the same room when she says things with her male masseuse took a turn for the worse.
He had pulled my arm off to the side of the table and was massaging the back of my arm. But before he put my arm back on the table, he rubbed it on his body.
In a probable cause statement, a KCPD detective notes the massage therapist, quote, put his penis in Natasha's hand and rubbed himself with her hand a couple times. Then he touched her genitals. Natasha says she initially tried to convince herself it was unintentional, but she says as the massage therapist's hands kept getting closer and closer to her genitals, she froze before he then placed a finger inside her. That's when she recalls jumping up from the table, grabbing her clothes, and leaving the business.
I ran out the door. The first person I called was my mom. And of course, I didn't want to report it at first. And I think it's because I was afraid of not being believed. You know, I got home and I jumped in the shower immediately because I just felt disgusting. And then Kyle came home and I just grabbed his hand and showed him what he did. And he was like, I'm going back up there. And I was like, please don't. And he's like, well, then we're calling the police and we're gonna file a report.
Natasha's boyfriend drove her to the police station where she filed a report, but she says that alone did little to bring her comfort.
I quit my job. I quit going to the gym because I didn't want to be looked at.
She identified the masseuse as Ji Jiang, only to learn he wasn't even licensed as a massage therapist in the state of Missouri. While Natasha waited, hoping charges would be filed, she reached out to attorney Wes Shoemate, who immediately felt compelled to help her.
As she was telling me that, she became worried, like, what will these people think of me if I speak up right now? That's what hit it for me, that we had to get involved.
Wes filed a civil suit on her behalf and helped her file a complaint with the Missouri Massage Licensing Board against both Fusion Spa and its owner for allowing Jiang to perform massages without a license. But as Wes was investigating, he found another woman named Lila Kubis had filed a similar police report naming Jiang more than a year before.
I remember in my head being like, okay, he's getting a little close, a little too close for comfort. I don't know how I feel about that.
Just 21 at the time, Lila had gone to Fusion Spa with her mom, who was getting a massage in another room.
He kind of just kept getting closer and inching closer. And I just really tried to convince myself that nothing was inappropriate or wrong. I really wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. And then eventually he just crossed the line into my underwear and went under my underwear.
According to the probable cause statement, Lila reported she, quote, froze and didn't know how to react. Even attempting to close her legs to get him to stop, Lila said he didn't. Much like Natasha, Lila recalls leaving the spa as quickly as possible, prompting her mom to call and check on her.
I basically broke down and told him that he had put his fingers inside of me. And she was like, what? Oh my God, we need to go back there. We need to go call the police.
Lila eventually connected with Wes, who represented her in a civil suit similar to Natasha's against the masseuse and Fusion Spa, along with 4 other women who later came forward. All 6 women settled their civil suits for undisclosed amounts.
We just want to make sure that, honestly, they have a voice. the ones who want to speak up have a voice, and the ones that don't want to speak up have somebody to fight for them.
So far, Jiang is only charged in the cases involving Lila and Natasha.
I first want to say thank you to everyone for the support and kind words.
It's something Lila has spoken openly about on social media, she says, for her sake and for others.
For a long time, I had felt so alone, and I found a lot of healing through TikTok and social media and hearing what other people said about their experiences. And so I wanted to be able to do that for other people.
KCPD investigated and prosecutors filed 2 counts of second-degree sodomy charges in July of last year. Jiang was taken into custody this past January. He was arraigned last week and pleaded not guilty. The women say the wait for a trial has been agonizing, along with knowing the massage parlor was still open. That's why Lila says she ultimately confronted the spa owner, who was married to Jiang at the time of the incidents.
I'm still upset because I don't understand why you're still in business.
Captured in this video she shared to social media.
You went into the business. What prompted you to go back to that spa and confront the owner?
It just felt like I had this huge secret and it was just eating me alive. And it helped me a lot. It really felt healing. It felt like I had found my voice again.
In addition to encouraging other alleged victims of abuse in any form to come forward, the women we spoke to want to see Jiang behind bars and see Fusion Spa shut down. While they wait on the wheels of justice, they're also trying to move on with their lives. Lila used her settlement money to move to California, where she's focused on finding joy in life again. Skydiving, going to concerts, even running her first 5K. Natasha used her money to pay for therapy, while also going back to Johnson County Community College to become a therapist herself. And the boyfriend who stood by her after the massage is now her fiance. They both say they feel stronger for coming forward, finding solace in sharing their voices and reclaiming their power.
You know, we didn't do that, and now we get to. And I think that's where the healing comes from, is we're now doing the thing that we wish we would have done in that moment.
You know, I asked their attorney if he thought they were brave for coming forward, and he said without any hesitation, absolutely. We did reach out to the public defender representing Jiang for an interview, and she declined, noting it's generally their policy to not comment on pending cases. We also contacted the Missouri Board of Therapeutic Massage to ask why Fusion Spa is still allowed to operate, and their spokesperson shared the board does not comment on pending litigation, nor can they discuss whether or not a complaint has been filed or is being investigated. However, records they provided us showed that business was on probation previously for 3 years, in fact, starting in 2016 after a different unlicensed employee was improperly allowed to operate there as a massage therapist. KCPD tells me detectives anticipate submitting a case file to the prosecutor's office for that third alleged victim we mentioned. A spokesperson told us if there are any other alleged victims out there, they would love to hear from you.